Call me old-fashioned, but I believe in cinema etiquette. Just the other week, I was bunking off work and I went to the cinema, and in a particularly tense and quiet scene where there's actually acting happening and it's not just green screen, boom, boom choreography, right? I shoved, just instinctively, I shoved a handful of popcorn in my mouth. How do I not make a noise here? How can I chew without making that big a noise? I can't spit it out, that's just gross, right? So I begin to chew as quietly as I possibly can. But, for me, this is the loudest thing in the world, this noise just echoing around my head. Again, but, I also know that I am not as loud as that asshole over there chewing with his mouth open. And if I'm being honest, he's not actually that loud either. I'm just being self-righteous about my opinion on how he's eating, which just happens to be loudly in a cinema. But this got me thinking, how loud do I actually chew popcorn? Welcome to the no spoiler review of Looking for Alaska by John Green. It's that question, how loud do I actually chew popcorn? Underneath it, there's a more fundamental question, or set of questions that have just been there in my mind unanswered, or unexamined for ages, as long as I can remember. And only now, especially because I'm recording myself a lot, are those questions popping their heads up again. So, Looking for Alaska is John Green's first novel. John Green, fascinating person, multi-award-winning author, also wrote A Fault in Our Stars, is one half of Vlogbrother and Crash Course on YouTube, both with his brother Hank. But yeah, he's predominantly known for his voice, which we'll get to later, and his speciality is YA fiction, particularly stuff that delivers emotional gut punches, like if John Green were a boxer and his book, Punches, the punches wouldn't be KO punches, but the sort that would floor you and wind you, but you're still able to get up after them. But now you're looking at the fight, and let's just say in this metaphor, the fight is life. You're getting up and you're looking at the fight in a completely different way. And that's what Looking for Alaska, John Green's work, apparently is. Young adult fiction. Emotional gut punch fiction for young adults. Teens, just because the main characters are teens and is written unpretentiously. The book is loosely based on John Green's time at school. Miles, or Pudge, is the protagonist, and he goes to boarding school in order to seek the great perhaps, which are the lost words of Francois Rabelais, who is a 1500s writer considered the first great French prose writer. And the book is about Pudge's first year at Culver Creek. And yes, Looking for Alaska delivers that emotional gut punch. Looking for Alaska and John Green are the question, how loud do I actually chew popcorn? So yeah, John Green is particularly known for his voice. It defined a generation of these YA films. Really, like you'll recognize it as soon as you hear it or see it. Excellent when executed well, gratingly enervating when it misses. Looking for Alaska is narrated in first person by Pudge. Sincere, intelligent, witty, wry, unique. Just think Ferris Bueller meets Catcher in the Rye. But, the great but, did John Green know what his voice was before he wrote the book? Was he like, I want to sound like this, and then executed well? Or was he like, right, oh, this is my voice? And I ask that question because how loud do I actually chew popcorn? Is what sounds to me as very loud actually very loud? Like in reality producing a lot of decibels? Or is my perception skewing how I interpret reality? Put it another way, how accurate is what I'm perceiving a reflection of what is actually out there? Like when I was Pudge's age, I wanted to be a certain way. Still now, but more so when I was younger. I wanted to be cool, so I copied the things that people I thought were cool did. Skateboarding, baggy trousers, CKY2K, listening to Korn. I thought I was cool. But was I actually seen as cool? Or just disinterested and aloof? Look at my earlier videos. Were they actually edgy and scornfully authentic, as I wanted them to be? Or were they just weird, missing the mark, and frankly, just a bit shit? Not saying that they're good now, but I'd say better. Or at least they cohere more closely to what it is I want to create. And through the process of making more videos, I'm finding my voice, as it were. And so, without my knowing, I have been, in making these no spoiler reviews, looking for my voice. And here's the thing. We all go through this looking for period, whether we know it or not, in whatever journey we're on. Learning French, building Legos, drawing, our careers, school, life. And yes, at times it's demoralizing, especially when we get no feedback or bad feedback or feedback we weren't expecting. But, not to sound like a preachy asshole, the trick is to just take the punch and get back up. What happens though if I think I'm chewing quietly and it's actually very loud? And this is just an example, okay? What happens if I want to be cool and so do the things that I think make me cool, think I'm being seen as cool by the world, but the feedback I get is to the contrary? That's a pretty rude awakening. And depending on the circumstances, the consequences can be pretty dire. That is what Looking for Alaska is about, or at least what I perceive Looking for Alaska to be about. Because the characters in Looking for Alaska are looking, knowingly in some cases, but in most unknowingly, like most teens. Some of them, like me when I was younger, wanting to be cool and such, know how they want to present themselves to the world and so take their actions consistent with how they think they're gonna be seen. But does that match how they're actually being perceived? Most though are just doing, as I was with my videos, and they eventually found what they didn't know they were looking for. The book is structured in a really unique way, deliberately to highlight the before and after of an event, of a rude awakening event, to put it very euphemistically. There are literally headings in the book: 60 days before, 20 days before, the day of, 7 days later, 10 days later. Which at first I was like, this is such a contrived and transparent way to create tension. But the thing is, tension towards what? I never knew. I mean, I had some inkling, right? After all, it is a John Green novel, and The Fault in Our Stars is my go-to Let's Have a Wee Cry movie. Even as I got close to the day of, and I knew what was coming, it's in John Green's voice. And so I was already 100% bought in. And when the what happened, I was floored. And here's the thing. I went into this book wanting to be floored. And as someone who so pathologically idealizes things, the threshold of expectation to clear was very high. And still, with Looking for Alaska, John Green delivers. So, if you've enjoyed this, or actually even if you didn't, like, share, subscribe. Every little helps. Tesco. I'm on Twitch and IG. And I'm currently reading Dracula on Twitch Live, and a wild Van Helsing has just appeared. And he speaks in German word order, making the reading very awkward and embarrassing. My next no spoiler review is Heaven by Kawakami Mieko, and I have no idea what I'm as yet